This video is for entertainment purposes only. Wild mushrooms and plants can be harmful or fatal if swallowed.
Hi friends, it's officially summer here in southern Indiana. The schools are out and the public pools are open, and that means it's time to start looking for Chanterelle mushrooms. Chanterelle mushrooms are easy to see, often brightly colored, orange or yellow or even pinkish sometimes. They grow in abundance. They're widely distributed across the eastern United States, more than 24 species, and they grow in big loose groupings, often covering whole hillsides here in southern Indiana, and they persist for weeks at a time, even more than a month. The animals don't seem to like them. The bugs don't seem to like them that much, and all those features make them a great wild edible food source. There are a couple downsides. It's going to be hot and sweaty and buggy collecting these in the summer, and there are a few dangerous lookalikes you're going to need to look out for, but I still definitely recommend going out and trying to find some of your own Chanterelle mushrooms. Let's hit the trail and go see what's out there. Come on. Much like morel mushrooms, Chanterelle mushrooms are mycorrhizal, growing in association with tree roots, communing, cohabitating, sharing nutrients with the trees. Here in the eastern United States, chanterelles are most likely to associate with oak trees, although they can associate with other hardwood trees like beeches and hickories, and sometimes even conifers, depending on the species. Because they are mycorrhizal, they cannot be readily cultivated, and they will always be growing up from the soil and not growing from decomposing wood. In this video, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the chanterelles and lookalikes that I find here in southern Indiana. If you'd like to learn more about all the species of chanterelle mushrooms that grow in the eastern United States, you can check out this video. I'll link to it in the description and also at the end. All right, what is out here? Can you find anything? Oh, there's something. Oh, and look at these bright orange mushrooms coming up out of the ground. Are those chanterelle mushrooms? They kind of resemble them. But no, those are a very dangerous lookalike.
The jack-o'-lantern mushroom.
These are just coming out. And though it is growing up from the ground, these are wood decomposing mushrooms, and they're decomposing the roots of this old oak stump. A very cool mushroom as they glow in the dark, but they are very not cool if you confuse them for chanterelle and eat them. That might send you to the hospital with severe gastric upset. Jack-o'-lanterns will always grow in tight clusters with many mushrooms. Chanterelles will be in a more loose grouping, and if you rip this one in half, you'll see that the interior flesh is orange to yellowish, and if you rip a chanterelle in half, the interior flesh will be white. That's the best way to tell them apart. Do make sure to individually inspect your mushrooms when you bring them home. They do both grow at the same time of year in the summer. The jack-o'-lantern can grow into the fall as well. All right, cool. Let's move on. Oh, here's a mushroom. Is this a chanterelle mushroom? Yes, it absolutely is. This is Cantharellus minor, the small chanterelle. You can get slightly bigger than this, but not much. Always an egg yolk yellow. These can be a little more leggy and cap and stemmy than other chanterelle mushrooms, but they do have false gills, decurrent gills that run down the stem slightly. Yes, it is edible, but I don't recommend eating this one, as you would have to collect hundreds of them to make a meal out of. And there are some more dangerous lookalikes, little tiny yellow mushrooms. Can be hard to identify sometimes, so I say leave this one alone, but it is a good indicator of an area that might produce other larger different species of chanterelle mushrooms. That's a cool one. Cantharellus minor, the small chanterelle. Ah, here's a yellow mushroom. Is this a chanterelle? Oh, there's another bigger one over here. Whoa, check that out. This is not a chanterelle mushroom. This is a bolete type mushroom. You can tell by the spongy pore surface. And this is the gold stalk or ornate stalked bolete. It will stain your hands yellow, and it is not an edible mushroom. All right, another non-chanterelle. Let's keep looking. You can find smooth chanterelles in the leaf litter in the forest, in mossy areas, or even in the grass. As long as there's an appropriate tree host and a decent amount of moisture, they will come up. Here we have our smooth chanterelle, Cantharellus Lateritius, or could it be the yellow brick chanterelle, Cantharellus Lateritius? You'll never know. They're impossible to tell apart. The Lateritius is a cryptic species living within the smooth chanterelle species, more often found in the Midwest. So this could definitely be a Lateritius. You'll never tell without sequencing the DNA. They are identical, but they're equally enjoyable. And when they start out, they'll be more of a yellowish color, and they will have these little rubbery false gills. These aren't gills that you can scrape off with your finger. They're kind of part of the mushroom. And on the smooth chanterelle, they will barely be there. If this mushroom gets exposed to the sun and doesn't have a lot of moisture, it will dry out and kind of turn brown. And at that point, they're not so good. If it does get more moisture, the veins will get bigger, more deeply ridged, and kind of cross-veined a little bit, and it will become more of a flowery, frilly shape, and it will darken. And if it continues to get moisture, it will get extremely large. I found them even like 8-10 inches wide and almost as tall. But yeah, this is about as big as the average smooth chanterelle will get. But you can see this fertile surface is now kind of a peachy color, or more of a whitish, and there's lots of cross veining, and they are very frilly. I love finding these mushrooms. All right, let's move on. Chanterelles are unique among non-polypore mushrooms in that it can last so long. How do they do this? Well, they have a couple strategies. They employ chemical insect repellents, cantharellin and D-limonene. D-limonene is the same compound found in citrus peels that people use as an insect repellent. So that allows the chanterelles to last without getting eaten by the bugs or other animals. And their basidia, their spore-producing structures, just regenerate. Every time it rains, they will produce new basidia and produce new spores. They kind of rotate in like shark's teeth. So they have a regenerative spore-producing strategy that's different from a lot of mushrooms. It's pretty cool. All right, let's see if we can find anything else. What do we have here? Is this a chanterelle? No, this is a tiny little Amanita type mushroom. In this area, it's most likely yellow patches, Amanita flaviconia. In the north, it could be a frost Amanita. Could also be a fly agaric. Do not eat an Amanita mushroom. That could be a very costly or even deadly mistake. Let's go. So here's some examples of some of the other types of chanterelles, the smaller types. First we have the red chanterelle, Cantharellus Cinnabarinus. These don't get very big. Normally max out at about 1.5 inches wide in the cap and 2 inches tall. These are pretty small ones. You can find these kind of sporadically or in groups or sometimes individually. But sometimes you can get real lucky and find groupings of thousands of these mushrooms all in one place. They are also found around beaches and oaks. Could these be the red coral chanterelle, Cantharellus corallinus? Well, they certainly could be. The coral chanterelles are kind of a cryptic species living within the red chanterelle group. It's hard to tell them apart. The coral chanterelles will have less well-defined false gills, and they will have more of a pinkish reddish color. The best way to tell them apart is with a microscope, measuring the length of their spores. So it may be difficult to separate them, but again, it doesn't really matter. You may have either of these species depending on where you live. Or you could also have the Texas chanterelle or the flamingo chanterelles or other pink reddish mushrooms that grow more in the south of the country. So what is this little reddish brown mushroom? Is this a red chanterelle? No, it is not. This could be a number of things. We're getting into the little brown mushroom problem. With this one, it could be a deceiver mushroom, Lookalike. That one's called the deceiver, not because it's poisonous, but because it can take on a lot of different shapes and colors throughout its life. This could be a deadly webcap. That is one you do not want to eat. Could be a lot of little brown mushrooms. So you do want to take caution to make sure you're not eating some other reddish little mushroom when you're hunting for red chanterelles. The red chanterelles will often be growing in large, loose groupings, and they will be very brightly colored, and they will have those decurrent gills running down the stem. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we got. Oh, hey turtle. How's it going? You eating some mushrooms? No. I don't see any bites on those mushrooms. Those are orange, but they're not chanterelles. Those look like little waxy cap mushrooms. I would avoid those just like this turtle is. All right, see you later, bud. Keep moving. Oh, here's some mushrooms. So here's a nice Appalachian Chanterelle with that brown spot in the middle. Otherwise looking very Chanterelle-like. This is about as big as they get. Maybe 3 inches tall and a little more than 2 inches wide. But that's a good example of the Appalachian Chanterelle, Cantharellus appalachiensis. False gills there. And these tend to be a bit more leggy in the stem, having a thin stem. And they will also come up in sparse, small groups. I've never seen a giant grouping of these, but you can find them in the beech oak forest. And you do need to be careful with this one, as the Appalachian Chanterelle does have a potentially dangerous lookalike, the golden-gilled Geronima. Golden-gilled Geronima will always be growing from decomposing wood, although it can be buried wood. The Geronima will be larger, less substantial in the cap, with bigger, widely spaced gills, and it will grow in big, tight clusters. Let's move on to the next. So many different types of chanterelles. The small chanterelle, the Appalachian, the red, the smooth. There is one that has eluded me though, that I should be able to find in this area. That is the ghost chanterelle. New to science since 2013. Can be found broadly over the eastern United States, but I have not found one yet. But this one might be one over here. Let's look. Could this be the elusive ghost chanterelle? No, this is not a ghost chanterelle. The ghost chanterelle will have a white stem, but it will also have white gills. But this mushroom does look a little bit different than the other late stage smooth chanterelles in the same area. So this could be a different type of mushroom. This could possibly be the Midwestern yellow chanterelle, Cantharellus flavus. Cantharellus flavus has more well-developed false gills, and it is a bright yellow mushroom with a more regular, upright, vase-shaped appearance, and it has yellow spores, a yellow spore print, as opposed to the smooth chanterelle, which will have more of a cream to light pinkish spore print. Well, let's keep moving on. See some big white mushrooms at the base of this dead white oak tree. Let's go check those out. Yep, could these be the white chanterelle, Cantharellus subalbetus? No, these are oyster mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms will always be growing from decomposing wood. These just happen to be growing from the base of the tree. Always be careful with white mushrooms growing from the ground. Those can be some of the most deadly mushrooms out there. The white chanterelle is mostly found in the Pacific Northwest, but there are a few observations on a naturalist in the east. I was speculating those could just be misidentified mushrooms, but I did get confirmation from one of our mushroom friends, Coaster Kid 13, that he has found white chanterelles in old growth forests in Appalachia. White chanterelle does have some lookalikes, like the ivory funnel, which is deadly toxic. That's one to be avoided. And another Cupophilus angustifolius. It's another white Chanterelle mimic. So you do need to be careful. You're probably not going to find a white Chanterelle in the eastern United States, but it's possible. But you can find lots of nice, delicious oyster mushrooms. All right, let's keep moving. There's another false Chanterelle I should probably mention. I could not find it for the purposes of this video, as it grows in association with conifers mostly. This is the false Chanterelle, Hydrophoropsis aurantica. It is a wood decomposer, a saprobe, can be found growing directly on decomposing wood or just in the leaf litter, growing on organic matter. And it is not deadly toxic, but it might give you some GI distress. This is an orange true gilled mushroom with a tightly rolled edge, and it looks a bit like a Chanterelle as its gills are kind of decurrent, and it can be a bit base shaped. So that's another one to look out for, the false Chanterelle. It grows all over North America and Europe. So here they are side by side for comparison. The Chanterelles I commonly find here in southern Indiana: the Appalachian Chanterelle, the red Chanterelle, the smooth Chanterelle, and the small Chanterelle. As far as preserving and preparing your Chanterelles, you should probably field dress them. When you pick them, cut off those dirty butt ends, brush off the mushrooms with a mushroom brush. Then when I get them home, I usually rinse them off in the sink, put them on a towel or rack to dry, and then you can cook them down with some butter and oil, put them in a vacuum sealed bag. Those will last for months. Chanterelles don't really dry and reconstitute very well. I wouldn't suggest dehydrating them. And my favorite way of preparing them is extra crispy with onions. This is my last basket full. Good basket. Some really big mushrooms. No egg cartons in the bottom of that one. But yeah, look at some of these. Really, really big ones. Really hard to clean. I'm Michael File. I'll see you next time on Mushroom Journeys.